This movie had me believe Beverly was going to go down on that dog at any given moment. And it's not a nice feeling. So on the last video there was like an audio issue and I managed to fix it, but someone told me that for my audio to get better I need to have the microphone close to my mouth, so you will see it poking into the take. So I'm sorry, this is not professional filmmaking, so this will be cool. Okay, cool. Let's talk about Howard the Duck, one of the worst movies in movie history according to, I think, almost everyone. Now, this movie is pretty funny because I don't remember watching it ever in my life, but I do remember its existence, and I think it's just one of those things, you know, that it lives like in the collective mind of people and somehow it transferred into my mind, something like that, because I have never watched this movie and yet I still have like clips and scenes. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe I watched it when I was a kid and I just was traumatized by it and I was like, oh my god, I just remember Howard the Duck and nothing else. So I decided to watch it again and see if it was truly as terrible as everyone was saying. Let's just get some information about the movie first. So Howard the Duck was released in 1986 and it was based on some Marvel comics of the same name. Now, this movie was supposed to be an animated film, which makes more sense once you watch it. Like maybe it would have worked better, or I don't know if it would have worked better, but it made more sense for it to be an animated film, judging by the year it was made. But guess what? Contractual obligations. So I don't know what the contract said, but apparently they were forced to make this a live action yes or yes. And I don't know who in their right mind wanted to have this film made into a live action. And actually, this was the first attempt at a theatrical release since Captain America 1944 for Marvel. How far have we come from Howard the Duck to Avengers Endgame? How far? Okay, so the first thing that I saw about this movie was George Lucas? I did the research for this movie afterwards I watched it. Like, I really wanted to watch the movie knowing nothing about it, so I was really shocked to see George Lucas there. The movie starts very sensually for a movie about a humanoid dog. That's fucking terrifying. So basically we are in this duck world where everything that has happened in the real world has also happened, but like in a duck version of it, like a parallel universe when instead of humans, there are ducks. Is this an adult movie? I thought it was a children movie. What is this?
Hi, it's Wendy. I had this really intense dream last night, Howie. I was running my fingers through your feathers, and all of a sudden, well, you better come over tonight and I'll show you what really happened next.
Wendy, what's going on? Is this George Lucas' duck sexual fantasy? Is he into ducks? Does this count as a furry? Why do all the dogs have blue eyes? Real dogs don't have blue eyes. They have black, dark eyes, assimilating the eternal void and showing their lack of soul. I guess it would have been way worse if they had pitch black eyes, now that I think about it. Maybe the blue eyes were a good option. We're only 4 minutes into the movie. Dog titties? They made dog titties? So basically nothing has happened in the movie. It has been just me trying to understand what's going on. So basically Howard is chilling in his living room and suddenly there's an earthquake and he starts flying across the whole building. And more dog titties? Why? This is another excuse to show dog titties. If you are in the top, you usually are all the way in. This is a dog city in a dog world. Don't they make humanoid dog tops there? You know, like the exact size? Whose fantasy is this? Whose fantasy is this? And why was a whole production team behind this project? I would love to have a chat with the person who was in charge of creating the dog titties, actually. I really want to know their experience in this project. Howard then just flies through a window into space. The Earth eats an egg! Someone was having so much fun making this movie. So we move to a narration about space and the cosmos and different planets and whatnot. The plot is barely starting and I already have a lot of issues. Howard falls into the earth and he is surrounded by Pokemon thugs because that's the only way I can excuse why they are dressing like this. Because even if it was the 80s, I think that the movies exaggerate a little bit about the fashion. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that there's a lot of YouTube channels that talk about fashion in movies, so maybe I should just watch one of those videos and maybe correct myself. I don't know. That's the producers when they read the script of this movie and realize they would need money to make dog titties. So the thugs basically just grab Howard and steal him, and then I realize he's very small. He's the size of an 11-year-old.
What is this?
I don't know. Howard gets shoved into a guy, and then he is grabbed by another guy who just throws it out the door. And this is so funny because the bouncer thought Howard was a kid in disguise, and he threw it out through the back door into a dirty alley?
That custom don't fool me. No kids allowed.
Hey, wait a minute!
Fuck this child! We get a montage of Howard just being yeeted around the city, and this girl, she kicks the shit out of these guys until Howard decides to help, and this fight is straight out of a kid's movie. Music included.
Jimmy, okay?
If you're going to imply this is an adult movie by basically showing dog titties, I think that they should just have gone all the way with the rating and making an adult movie and make this fight actually violent. Because you can say, well, maybe because of the rating of the movie, they really, cannot add some violence to it. And I'm like, they just showed titties, actual titties in the first 3 minutes of the movie. I think that they could have maybe added some violence into the fight and it would have been the same thing. But well. Howard finally gets some information about where he is, and this chick, whose name is Beverly, is very casual about the fact that she is having to explain what air is to a humanoid dog. She is about to leave, but they did an actual good job in making Howard look alone and miserable. And if I was that girl, I would have invited the dog into my house too. Or maybe I'm just too soft for animals in distress. Also, Howard has the height of a child, so that also makes it very endearing to me. They arrive to her place and he kind of makes fun of it, but I think this place is incredible. If you did some interior design and fix the furniture coherently and not just put a couch in the middle of the space, this would have been a fantastic place. These two just get to know each other and it turns out both love music, but in his planet, Howard had to get a real job and abandon music. She insists that maybe his destiny is on Earth to make music, but Howard falls asleep and Beverly touches his feathers. She starts going through his wallet and there's a blooming dogs and dog dollars and she finds a condom in his wallet and she says,
Howard.
Good for Howard for having protection, but it's not endearing. What the fuck? On the next day, Beverly takes Howard in a trash bag to a friend who is a scientist. This guy is amazed because it's proof of life in other planets, right? So he decides to be offensive. The meeting goes horribly and Howard is pissed off. They walked out and these two are arguing while people around literally are losing their minds at what they are seeing. They have a fight and Howard decides he doesn't want her help anymore and they split. On the next scene, Howard is at a job service office and I was wondering about his change of clothing, but thankfully they explain.
It's my fault I got a shoplift at the Little Tyke section of Goodwill.
He gets a job in a sleazy place and I won't show you because, well, we have real boobies here. But Howard quits promptly and he's just a sad little duckman alone in the city. I think it's a nice detail that everyone just keeps freaking out wherever he goes.
Getting off, my stop. Hi there, how are ya? Good to see ya.
After Howard gets the living soul scared out of him because dog hunting season is coming, he ends up by accident at the place he met Beverly and he goes to see her play. He discovers Beverly's manager is robbing the band. Howard manages to get the girls their money back and he becomes their new manager. I don't know how strong dogs are in this world, but apparently they can overpower a bunch of humans. That is freaking scary because he's the size of a child. Howard goes to apologize and there's actual tension between Beverly and the dog and it's confusing as hell. Why is there tension between this human and this dog? Howard goes back with Beverly and he starts having fun with the music. He's shaking his feathers and everything. Everything is alright until the dog gets aroused. I was watching this movie with the door of my room open and I had to close it because I didn't know how I would explain what I was watching.
Night.
Thankfully, they get interrupted by Phil and another pair of scientists. They give a super scientific explanation about how they brought Howard into the real world. So basically, they shoot a laser into space hoping to make a discovery, and instead, they sucked Howard into the Earth. On the Space Center, scientific campus, I don't know what this is. Everything exploded again, meaning they brought something into the planet again, but they don't know what. The chief of this secret base, a big scientist, or I think he's a cop, I don't know. He arrives and they capture Howard, but in the same fashion as the beginning, we get a super cheesy scene on how they escape.
Oh, nuts. I dropped my cigar. Fire! Fire!
Jeez, that's all I need.
So long, copper! Desperate ducks commit desperate acts.
The police starts looking for them and they decide to throw the gun away? Why? They're looking for him and they want to kill Howard. Like, why would you throw the gun away? They find one of the main scientists and he helps them escape. But he is in a lot of pain and he's trying to explain he saw something bad. But they won't let him talk. So it's very clear that something got inside the doctor and he is like shifting. He is basically being possessed. Howard and Beverly think he's fine and he just needs some coffee, when the doctor is practically being possessed by a creature. So they take him to a dinner and they start asking for food and asking questions as if the guy is not literally the color of an apple and his eyes are bulging and he's talking like a creepy dude. I don't know why coffee would help this. I mean, not that I think about it, I think I look like this in the morning before my coffee. Okay, so the movie got extremely cheesy and boring, so here we go. I will try to resume this. So the Doctor got possessed by a literal Dark Lord of the universe, who wanted to bring more Dark Lords to Earth to dominate it, but after stupid chasing, the dog, who is the size of an 11-year-old, handled the big bad monster on its own. He just got into a car that had a laser on it, and I have no idea why a small car would have a laser installed on it. What's the purpose? I don't know. Why it was created? I don't know either. This place likes to have lasers laying around just in case you need to take down monsters from outer space, apparently. The thing is, Beverly and Phil say Howard saved the Earth when basically just everyone could have done what he did, but okay, the dog saved the world, I think. But Howard had to destroy the laser that would take him back to his home to stop the other Dark Lords from arriving to Earth, so he ended up living on Earth forever, and the movie ends in a musical number singing the theme song of the movie, and obviously Howard the dog is the center of attention. The end. So first of all, I think one of the big problems of this movie was the tone. This movie had me believe this would be an adult movie. It would be like a parody or a satire of sorts. But then, as the movie progressed, it was more like a children's movie, you know, with all like the music and the fight scenes and the cheesy lines. But then again, it had very strong sexual connotations. So it was very perturbing. Like, it was like, oh, is this a children's movie? But then the dog was like, I like what I see. And I was like, I don't know if this is a children's movie. What kind of movie is this? This movie had me believe Beverly was going to go down on that dog at any given moment. And it's not a nice feeling. I was nervous during the end of the movie because I was just waiting for them to announce that Howard and Beverly were like in an official relationship or something weird like that was going to have me screaming into the infinite void, just adding another thing into the list of things that I should have never seen in my life. Another thing that threw me off was that I really believed this movie was going to be about this dog helping Beverly and her band to reach stardom in the music scene. Because, you know, Howard wanted to be a musician and he wanted to do something else, but he couldn't, like, in his dog world. So maybe this was his actual chance. And I thought that it was going to be more of a slice of life type of movie, you know, like an adventure in the city, an adventure in a chaotic entertainment business and something like that. I don't know what I'm saying, but I believe that it was going to be something like that. I truly believe, because at the end of the movie, Howard is the manager of the band, but he is not like actively making music. So I don't know, maybe that counts as Howard actually, you know, fulfilling his dream of working in music. But the thing is that he wrote music, like he played with the piano and he said that, oh my god, I never finished this tune, while he was like playing with the keyboard. So I was really expecting something like that, but I mean, okay, I'm just being picky maybe. But then it turned into these like space adventure, you know, like fighting dark lords from outer space and lasers and scientists, and I was like, you know, like the first half of the movie and the second half of the movie, like they don't match in themes and things that we have seen. I don't know, because I don't know why would you introduce like all these themes about music and Beverly and the band and everything, and then just like throw it out the window in order to have some type of well, you know, space adventure in some type of way. I'm just saying that it would have been cooler to have like this eccentric adventure to fame, you know, I think another problem is that there's no like major change in the characters. Beverly is just flat. Like she stays the same. She's like this happy-go-lucky girl that loves music and she's always positive and she's like there to support Howard in whatever he does. And it's the same with Howard, because at the end of the movie, yeah, he's the hero, but at the same time at the start of the movie, he actually saved Beverly from a bunch of guys and not getting an essay. So it's not like he was a coward or that he didn't want to fight for Earth or something like that. Like he was always there to help and there to fight. And I guess that we can say that he could have just let the Dark Lords arrive to Earth and just use the laser to go back home and let the Dark Lords destroy the Earth completely. But that would have made him a massive asshole. So I don't think that any movie would go for some type of ending like that with your main character, you know. Like, just let your main character be a complete asshole. It's perfectly fine. Especially in the 80s when movies like these tended to be very cheesy. So I don't think that it was like an actual option to let Howard just say goodbye, you all, and just let the Earth get obliterated as he returned to his duck world with duck titties. I have nothing else to say. I think this is a very boring, bland, stereotypical type of movie. And they have like a talking dog in it. So it was like, how do you create something so boring when you have like a talking dog? But okay, I'm just traumatized forever by the dog titties. Like, I really want to fight the person that decided that the dog titties were necessary, because they did not add anything into the movie. They were not necessary. Like, I think that the only thing that they did was actually worsen the movie, because they made you feel like the movie was going to be in one tone and then it had another. So I don't know what was the necessity in adding them. Like, I really don't appreciate shock value just because, okay? I'm not 14 anymore. I mean, George Lucas was an executive producer for this movie, and he just, like, casually throw an incest joke into the Star Wars movies, so I don't know, maybe these all make sense. But that was the video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to give a like, subscribe if you want, leave a comment if you want. I would love to read what you think about this movie in the comments, and with that said, I'm done with this video, I'm done with this movie. Like, I'm not mad, but I'm not glad that I watched this movie. I'm just, like, in a weird middle point about it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, week, month, and everything. Goodbye. See you next time.